I'm Erin Gravlin with the Marshall Chamber. I'm the marketing director here, and my job is pretty broad, I guess. There's a social media aspect, there's marketing, there's administrative, and we kind of partner with our CVB and our EDA too. So kind of some broad projects and graphics will be my main job titles.
Okay.
And my name is Brad Garrett. I'm the president of the Marshall Chamber. I oversee overall operations of the chamber. I do a lot of the membership work, so I do a lot of recruitment and retaining of the chamber members, although that really falls on everybody because we want to make sure that we all offer value to our members. So that's kind of all of our jobs. Public policy is something I've been working on, especially here recently, trying to get businesses back into business. Workforce development, which is kind of what we're doing here today, and trying to attract and retain a lot of students to Marshall to fill a lot of the jobs that are needed in town as well. Overall, the Chamber is a pro-business organization. We help with we try to help businesses grow through various degrees of whether it's our events. We have a lot of different events, and of course we have our advertising opportunities. Just overall, we want to see businesses thrive through a lot of our features that we have.
Awesome. And so what interested you to get into the business or into the industry that you're within?
How does somebody get into this job? There is no chamber major. Erin's specialty is marketing and communications. That's kind of what she did in college. Mine, I didn't do any of this. It's nice to have some sort of policy or like a public some sort of political science degrees that would certainly help in my role. Trying to keep track of politics isn't everybody's favorite thing to do, but if you are well versed in it, a lot of members really appreciate that kind of thing.
A lot of our staff too is kind of broad in that way. It's recreation, it's hospitality, it's marketing, communications, and then also obviously accounting too for our finance position. So it's very broad for our background.
Yeah. Yeah, events. Yeah, that kind of runs the gamut.
And then Erin, what made you interested in marketing?
Well, I started with graphics in college, but I wanted to do graphics and marketing, and it just kind of evolved into what the position is now. It started with part-time, and then I grew into full-time, adding more of the social, adding more marketing, adding more graphics, and there's a lot of on-the-job experience as well. So I knew I wanted something with a little bit of graphics, and that was part of the job at the time. So
awesome. And so is that kind of what your career pathway has been, Erin, since you graduated college, is working through Marshall Chamber, things like that?
Yep, actually, so I've been here almost 10 years, but it's changed a lot. Like I said, in the beginning, it was part-time. Since then, we've grew our partnerships with the community. We have a lot more involvement with city functions too. With the Visitor Bureau, we also partner on. We're promoting the same kind of community events. Our business members are local area businesses, and that's just what we do and partner together. So it's evolved in that way. Social media has become a lot more like half of our jobs now, so a couple of us. So that's evolved and changed, but it's fun. So it's fun to have some randomness within it too.
And Brad, what does your career pathway look like?
That's a good question. So I graduated in December of '99 with a Parks Rec and community education degree. So I worked for the YMCA in the Twin Cities for a little over 11 years. Did exactly that. I worked in recreation, a lot of community stuff, and at a YMCA, obviously there's a lot of fundraising. And so I was always comfortable asking people for donations and that sort of thing. And one thing led to another. My first jobs in the chamber world were membership growth, and we wanted to continue to grow members. So I worked with a couple different chambers of commerce in the Twin Cities, was able to grow their membership by quite a bit, and then moved back to Marshall and did the same for the Marshall Chamber to kind of get us where we are today. But over time, so I probably did about 7 years or 6 years now of just strictly membership. But over that time, you kind of learn more aspects of the job. And that's what kind of, I kind of want to be in the position I was. I really enjoy the chamber work. We got good staff and we have really good members, and it's just a fun, good environment. And that's what got me to where I'm at today. And it's something I like to continue to do. It's a good way to make a living.
On the average day, what does your workload look like?
It's different. It's different every day, and that's what makes it kind of fun. It's different every day if under normal circumstances. Right now, working from home, I am managing not only my day-to-day work, but also managing my 2 kids. But on a normal chamber day, it's something different. We have probably about 4 to 5 events every single month. And I don't go to all of them, but I go to some of them. And it all kind of depends on which part of the year too. Part of my job too is kind of manage the budget. Budgeting is a really big thing for a nonprofit. So that is something that we kind of keep a close eye on, especially now. So it's different every day. We get a lot of communications. We get a lot of members. We have 540 members, but we also have the Marshall public. The Marshall public, just people in the Marshall area that just call us with random things. We get, if somebody doesn't know an answer to a certain question, they call us, and it could be Aaron can give you better answers on what some of the questions we get, but it's certainly different every single day what kind of aspects of the job that we deal with.
Mm-hmm. For my position, I'd say, there's things that are monthly, weekly, like I do a weekly newsletter, for example. We have monthly events like Brad mentioned that we can host with Women's Connect, Young Professionals, that networking events we can host. So those we can expect, but every day different business correspondence is different. So, but that's still our main job, is to help promote our members. So that can vary a lot.
Awesome. And what part of your work motivates you the most?
I think what we hear from our members, they knew that we gave them a referral. They knew that they could get information. We're a resource for not only our members, but the whole community. And they know that. They can call us for something, or where do I find out this, or who does this at the city, who does this with the paper, what can I do in this situation at home even. So we try to be we used to call it the yellow book of the community. So.
Yeah, totally agree. Making a difference in the business community, it's kind of cool that you can kind of put your stamp on that. Especially now, our members are relying on us more than ever right now, pushing out these communications, whether it's loan information, unemployment information, or whatever the case is. Just being a resource for businesses is a very fulfilling feeling that you could walk away with every single day. Yeah.
Great. So within your experiences, and not just be at the chamber, but what kind of training opportunities, or how were you able to grow as you went throughout your career?
The chamber industry in the state of Minnesota, we have 3 different trainings that we have for employees. We have a regional one that's 5 or 6 states wide that gets together once a year in Sioux Falls. But it's some of those nonprofit trainings that you keep an eye on. we are a nonprofit, and I think a lot of people don't realize that, but nonprofit trainings is something that we keep an eye on. And then we get so many pushed our way of different kind of webinars and seminars and Zoom meetings now, of course. So yeah, fundraising meetings or whatever the case is. Aaron gets a lot of them for social media, and because social media is changing every single day and week as well.
I think even attending our own events too, our networking events, our Young Professionals Women's Connect, we have a different speaker topic every month for those. So internally we gain that knowledge as well.
Awesome. And so what kind of qualifications are needed to have a position like yours?
Mine in specific would have been exactly what I did go for, the graphic design, marketing, and some sort of major minor combo in that. Sometimes just a business development, economic development is good, but I think a lot of it could be on the job training. There's a lot of degrees that can kind of overlap there, like I said, with the hospitality, recreation, that stuff too. So yeah.
In my role, you got to be able to be a people person. We deal with a lot of people. You got to have really good public speaking skills too. I don't necessarily have great public speaking skills, but I'm not afraid to get in front of 500 people at an event either. And then, yeah, just getting into, if you want to get into a role like mine, is this just to maybe even start at a chamber in a part-time role, like kind of like what I did way back in the day. And you just kind of build up to this job, because the more learning you have to get into my role, the better. So.
And then how important is it, how important are your school grades, or what kind of classes would you suggest for students to take at this time who may be interested in business relations or marketing, things like that?
Public speaking is a good one. I think everybody, I think that's a good course to take in college. Like I said, some sort of political science, economics would be another really good position. And some of the ones that Aaron mentioned earlier, hospitality, that sort of thing.
Yeah, any intro ones, like intro to marketing or advertising even, like how to market to your businesses, like what's necessary with like print, social, all those, all the marketing classes would be pretty broad. So, yeah.
With social media as being as big, with kids always constantly looking at their phones, public speaking is almost needs to go towards the top of any sort of degree, and super important class is public speaking. I wasn't comfortable with it back in college, but part of my job at the YMCA in the Twin Cities is I had to run coaches meetings for youth sports, and I had anywhere from 80 to 100 coaches that I had to speak in front of 6 times a year, which led me to get comfortable into my current role, which could be speaking in front of the public at one of our larger events or whatever the case is. So it certainly has helped me in my role. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. All right. And so is there anything that kind of surprised you when you left high school, you knew what you wanted to do, you got through college, and then you're in your jobs? Is this what you anticipated?
That's a hard question. I don't know. I mean, I knew what to expect to a point. I think the whole on-the-job experience is huge. I knew the minimal part of the graphics side that I was going to do, but because the whole technology piece has evolved so much, I couldn't have said 8 to 10 years ago that I knew that social media was going to be this big. It was all just, here's our print ads. We did a lot more newspaper stuff. We did a lot more just printed ads. We had to do some mailers, and we do membership thank yous, but other than that, that's all we really print, so social is just such a big part of it because there's multiple venues. It's not just Facebook, it's Instagram, it's Twitter, and there's different content for those and how to do that and how you can get the algorithms on Facebook to get people to like a certain thing or promote it, and what's worth it for paid ads. It's crazy how big that's become a big deal. So I wouldn't have foreseen it growing that much. Yeah.
Right. It's not necessarily the one thing that came to my mind is when I went to college to be kind of in Parks and Rec, do that youth sports thing, you know, the community service thing. You know, the YMCA is a little bit different. It's a nonprofit. The whole fundraising piece is where I'm trying to get at. And whether, you know, what angle of fundraising it is, whether you're trying to grow memberships or if you're trying to grow donations, that's something I would have never expected to do in college or high school, is to be in fundraising. However, even if you're not working for a nonprofit, it's likely if you want to get involved with your community, you need to be okay being on some sort of committee or something like that in order to raise funds. So, you know, Marshall's a very active community, and there's a lot of boards, a lot of committees for people to get involved with, and fundraising usually comes with that.
And so, Aaron, you kind of talked about how social media and things like that have changed and evolved. What else do you think will evolve or change within the future?
I think even with the whole website stuff, app development, that's something that we're going to have to look into with traditional print, things like that. Our coupon book, for example, is our biggest fundraiser project. And we're going to have to look into a version of that on how that can get accessible through your phone and not have a big printed book. And other projects like that just, we have to get creative on a way to market to different age ranges, and that's always evolving. So I think that would be one of our next steps, is just seeing how those can proceed.
And to piggyback on that, we don't know. We don't know what the new chamber is going to be like. It's going to be completely different. At least what it could be. I mean, there's going to be a lot of the same things we want to do. Yeah, but even committee meetings, you know, you might be able to kind of have these committee meetings a little bit more effectively if they're all like this. Or will people want to come back face to face? We don't know what this chamber is going to look like in a year, in 6 months. So, yeah, it'll be how this evolves, and but that's just not the chamber. It's just business in general.
Sure. So someone in your roles maybe wants to be kind of a flexible person who's able to kind of grow with the changes and maybe help evolve those changes.
Yeah, you always have to be ready for change. Change isn't always easy, especially for Aaron and I, but yeah, you have to be willing to change all the time. You got to be flexible. And one thing that's changed between now and 15 years ago, you got to be able to give employee flexibility too. So not only do you want to be flexible, change at your job, but employees, especially employees with little kiddos, it's important to give them flexibility. As long as they get their hours in and get their job done, you need to be okay with it.
So what kind of resources would you recommend for those who are interested in a similar job to yours?
Well, there's a whole lot of chambers of commerce out there. We're not the only one. Most communities our size and bigger all have them. In the area, you got, I think Tracy's probably the smallest city that has a paid staff chamber. But just to get familiar with them, ask around. Some chambers have student memberships, and it's something that, you know, I would be willing to entertain here at some point as we grow stronger partnerships with the public schools, just to kind of get them in tune and what a chamber does on a month-to-month basis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if they could do a job shadow, or even if by chance attend one of our young professionals events, it's going to be kind of an insight on the types of things that we host and what they could get involved in.
And so can you elaborate what the young professional events are? And are those open to everybody, anybody? What does that look like?
Well, right now they're just open to our chamber members technically. We let a member come for free the first time just to check it out, but they have annual dues for young professionals separate from their chamber member dues. But we have monthly luncheons and different speakers every month to host those, to get familiar with some of our businesses, different leadership topics, things like that, that they can get familiar with, to network too with each other.
Okay, awesome. So we're kind of at the end of my questions. Is there any other insight or advice or anything else you want to share with students who might be interested in marketing or business relations, things like that?
I think if you can, whether it's high school, college, whatever, it doesn't have to be even a formal job shadow. Just go interview the president of the company somewhere that you can just ask to tag along to a meeting. I mean, I think that's a lot of how informal internships are now, that it makes it feel like you're part of something. And then the chamber in specific is fun because you get to be involved with all of these businesses in the community. It's not just working with one. So that's the fun side.
Yep, totally agree. I would, if as a senior, as a junior, you really want to get involved with something, you can use us as a resource. We can make that connection with a business person, or if you know somebody in that business realm that they're interested in, just give them a call or shoot us some sort of communication over to them, and do job shadow for a couple hours at a time, for just to get to know the work world a little bit.
So I do want to thank you for your time and taking the opportunity to share your insight with our students.